Well, ladies and gentlemen, only really two news stories worth actually talking about today. The first, obviously, being the whole USAID debacle, and the second actually is around the budgets. And I didn't actually get to cover the budget last week due to work commitments. But anyway, let's start off with the first news story. But before I do, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It really does help. So let's get on to the first one. Ramaphosa and the whole USA scenario. Well, according to Ramaphosa, the entire kerfuffle, this historic relationship that they have that's currently under threat, well, according to him, it's going to outlive the current bumpy patch. This comes as obviously the ANC minister, the US ambassador, Russell. There's loads of jokes going around about that guy at the moment. Remove the R is silent, whatever, and his name says who he is. You can work that out yourself. Anyway, according to Ramaphosa, they are committed to the relationship, the strategic, bilateral, and diplomatic and trade relationship, and they're unwavering to that. And apparently all of the disputes currently occurring will basically fade into history at some point in time. They're all just deeply regrettable, he says, and actually they're all teaching us an experience that we need to reflect on, and that this experience is currently what's causing the relationship to be admittedly challenging. And to that, I would say complete poppycock. I mean, seriously, guys, there is a lesson here. And the lesson is that you treated the US like a bunch of monks. You told them you didn't want their involvement. You told them that they weren't important to your trade. You told them that they were colonizers, that they were white supremacists, that they were everything under the sun. And then when they retaliated, you said, well, this is all regrettable. It's deeply challenging, and don't worry, we'll overcome it for reasons. And there is only one way to overcome this. And that is, don't keep doing what you've always done, and take your strategic trade partners more seriously. And don't treat them like they're white supremacist colonizers that need to footsake. This isn't the right way to do it. Now, according to everybody, if you're sitting there and basically noticing the obvious, this is right-wing disinformation. You see, this is the problem, is that Ramaphosa and his administration wants to go to the US and explain away why they have done what they've done and why they've said what they've said. In other words, they're wishing to say, don't believe your lying ears and your own brain. We didn't actually say what we said. We said what we want you to understand us as having said, even though that's not what we said. And the reality is that may have worked in the past when you were dealing with a president with dementia. But honestly, it's not working anymore. Trump is not stupid. And so he says that at the end of the day, there will be constructive discussions that will occur with the Trump administration on areas of convergence and realignment. But you see, the realignment at the moment is like, bin Iran, stop your case against Israel, and support Ukraine against this war in Russia. Now, according to the South African government, according to Ramaphosa, apparently South Africa and Trump are aligned on the position between Russia and Ukraine, because they both want a speedy and peaceful resolution to the war. That is true. But what the US wants is actually a little bit more than what Ramaphosa would want. They are effectively on opposing sides, have been for some time. According to Ramaphosa, there is actually room for more trade between the two countries. And yes, Joel Pollock, who's currently the contender to be the US ambassador to South Africa, he has himself said that if the US were treated well by South Africa, there was a lot more that could be done between the US and South Africa, and it would greatly benefit South Africa. But you see, the ANC doesn't want to do those things. And the reason for that is it would compromise it ideologically. So how do I know that to be the case? Well, apparently, according to the ANC and according to the ANC spokespeople, you see, the whole thing that our ambassador, the South African ambassador, said, apparently that was all just misunderstood. And apparently it was all just the media focusing on the wrong stuff. And that it was actually meant to be a frank, honest, and open discussion which the ambassador was engaged in, and it was actually an answer to a question, not taking into account everything that had been said before. And according to them, what's happened is you've just extracted one paragraph and then you've used that in order to incriminate the ambassador, they say. And apparently it's regrettable that Marco, the US head of State Department, he saw that one piece and took it out of the context and they expelled him based on it. And to that, I would say, this is exactly what I'm talking about. When I say the ANC will attempt to manipulate everything and lie, and basically say, you misread, you don't understand what you heard. Actually, let me tell you what you should have heard, even though it's not what I said. It was very obvious what he said. He said Trump was a racist and that he was a white supremacist, and his current administration was pushing forward a racist white supremacist agenda, and he was doing it because there will be projected demographic white decline in the US, and so he's trying to stop that from occurring. This is categorical of what he said. Doesn't matter if he said it in an answer or a question or what. You basically called the sitting president of the United States a white supremacist. No wonder you got kicked out of the country. And no matter how much you backtrack on the entire thing that you said, you still said it. And this is what the ANC doesn't seem to understand. They can't manipulate statements anymore. Yeah, we said kill the Boer, but we didn't really mean it, even though some people did kill the Boer. But we didn't mean it like that. We meant it in a different way. You just need to stop believing your lying ears. The world's not falling for it anymore. In any case, let's actually then go on to the next story, and this is still around Trump. And this is actually our health minister, moron, being asked to account for all the money that's now missing from the cancellation of the funds being given to South Africa through USAID and PEPRA. And apparently there's a number of individuals that are now going into clinics and looking for their medication for HIV and so forth, and they can't get it. Some of them say that they usually get 3 months supply, now they're getting 2 weeks. And then they're told to come back. And according to our minister, well, this is a good thing because now South Africa has to stand on its own 2 feet and needs to find the money itself. It can't continue to be funded by the US citizens, and that basically we need to find ways to cover our own budget now. I agree with all of that. We do need to do it. But then very curiously, he then goes on to say that basically we will all do this ourselves, but nobody knows how. We can't finance these programs ourselves. And his answer appears to constantly keep being, well, NHI? I mean, there's no other answer. Just tax people more, and then we'll somehow magically find this money, even though all of our hospitals are failing, and now we can't treat people for basic illnesses. The NHI will solve that. The guy is just a freaky loon. Seriously, the guy needs to have his head checked. Anyway, apparently there's no other way for South Africa actually to get this funds from any form of a foreign entity, foreign donations if you want, because these donations are never really donations. They always somehow buying something in South Africa in exchange for funds. You can figure that out yourself. And very interestingly, it said that the only other party who could actually plug the hole in South Africa for USAID is, are you ready for it? The Gates Foundation. Very strange that that would come up in the conversation. Anyway, let's swiftly move on to the second story. And this is actually the budget. So this is obviously the story that there's going to be a VAT increase. And according to Gordon Guana, well, you see, it was his idea solely for a VAT increase. And the reason he did it is because he's tired, or he's sick and tired of having austerity in the country. And so he needs money in order to be able to spend on programs. And if you read the programs, it was basically a lot of, let's increase the grants, let's give more money to government servants. And yes, there's a few little bits of money here and there for things like nurses and trains and bailing out state-owned enterprises. As many individuals commented at the time, the budget didn't really give hope in that it wasn't a budget that would get South Africa's economy kicking again. It was a budget to basically pay off debt and incur more debt by paying things like civil servants. Anyway, according to Imbalula, the DA obviously doesn't want this budget increase, this VAT increase, even though some news is suggesting the VAT increase is actually being supported by the DA. Whether you believe that or not, I don't know. You can let me know what you think in the comment section below. But anyway, apparently the only reason that the DA wants to reject the budget and wants to have an austerity budget is, in a quote, because the DA wants to return to the good old days of apartheid. It's like, when in doubt, just blame apartheid. It's like the stupidest thing on the planet. Now, the DA has gone around and basically said, look, we're all this anti-raising taxes, and we're doing all of this for the poor, impoverished, working class individual. They sent out texts telling everybody they've voted against the VAT increase, and They're there on the right side of history, and all I say is, poppycock DA, shut up, no one believes you. Any case, the budget has actually got no real support at the moment. And actually, just before I end this, and I know there's going to be loads of people wanting to fact check me, to be exactly clear, what the actual budget increase is 0.5% on VAT increase. So we'll go to 15.5, and then there'll be another 0.5 in like a year from now. I think 2016 they said, so they'll get us up to our 1%. That's the actual proposal at the moment. But as I've said to you already, I don't think we're going to land up in this scenario. It's actually very interesting how we are getting to this scenario at the moment. We just have no funds. But any case, as you can see, anybody who doesn't want to get taxed further into oblivion, there's only one reason for it. It's because you want to return to apartheid. Yep, politics in South Africa. Anyway, that's just my views. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Until next time, bye.